different kinds of species of whales. They don't go in pods, but they communicate. They are a pod. They're a family, a pod. They feel connected to one another, and they communicate throughout the oceans, throughout large spaces. We know this. And what they do is that even though they're thousands of miles apart, they're still a pod, because in dimension they are interdimensional beings, and in dimension they can hang out together, and that's what they do. So when they're like, there's this alone single whale hanging out in the middle of the ocean somewhere, they can be their experience is, or can be, or actually it is, because they're always connected. That they're hanging out with their group, with their pod. Yeah, exactly. And they sing together. It's like they dream together. This is where I was coming from exactly, with the dream that everyone in this universe is a part of God's dream. The God that created this universe. So this is his dream or her dream. Everyone in this universe is part of God's dream, is a creation of God's dream. And then it came, well, and then I thought, well, except for the ones that are in this universe, but they don't come from this universe. And then it was, well, still they're in God's dream. They're in this God's dream. And what's happening is that the God from the universe they came from, and the God from the universe we come from, or the people or beings in this universe come from, they're starting to dream together. That's when the crossover happens. They're starting to dream together. And then I came to the cetas, to the cetaceans. They spend a lot of time in dimension. That's what I mean. So that's why they're also not lonely. It's because they're always connected to each other. They dream together. And they have these two brains where they never sleep. So they're lucid dreamers. They have one brain shuts off and part of them starts dreaming, goes to sleep, but the other one is awake. So they're always lucid dreaming. And that's what my experience was. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's like so, because what it is the whales, they have a humongous heart field. It's this humongous, it's just so much love. It's just huge. And they're all in that field together. They're all sharing it together. And then they're making the vibrations with the sound. And they're all vibrating together, this sound. And that, when I had that experience, I knew they're holding a frequency in the water. That is, it's heart frequency. It's love. It's so deep. It's absolutely beautiful, which is why they were so, with the low frequency sonar, so targeted. And so then I came to they dream together, like the when the gods, we are part of God's dream, and when they start to dream together with another universe, and there's a crossover with beings from that universe come in here, that's when the gods start dreaming together. Brought me to the Aborigines, dream time, where the dream is very important to them, and they have the Maori have the whale riders, and they're very physical. Maori, they're more about, like, they're more warriors, but they also have this strong connection with the whales. And the Aborigines, I believe it's Whale Dreamer, and they have this whole thing with the whales, which I haven't explored yet. And then I go, yeah, but that's interesting, because they're actually more desert dwellers, they're more like dry land people, and they're more snake people. The snake is so important to them. So I saw this documentary on a rainmaker, and this is an old Aboriginal man. He's called Spider, and it's a story about how they used to live, like, in the middle of nowhere in the desert, and they were relocated somewhere to this village. Anyways, and it was about like a project for this documentary to get the people who used to live there in the middle of the desert, and bring them back there. And they were pretty old at this point, and they brought them back there, and it was like in the middle of nowhere, and all there was like just flat and dirt. And but there was a puddle in the middle of this, like, for thousands of miles it's just like dry, right? But then there's this puddle, and they start digging out the puddle, because that was their home. So there was like a source of water somehow, or maybe if it wasn't a source, it was this place where water would stay, which is why they were able to live there. And so they start digging out this puddle, and more water comes, and they're just happy like children. They're like happy as can be, these old men digging out this puddle, and they sing to the snake. And I forget the name of the snake. It was like this huge snake being, and they sing the name of the snake, and then I got from watching that this is why they love, because at first I thought, why would they live there, and why does this land mean so much to them, and they love this piece of desert, and how could they even live there? And it was the spirit. There was a spirit there. It was the spirit of a snake, and it was huge, and they sang to it, and they had this connection to this snake, and it was like family, it was like really meant so much to them. And this is all in dimension, because you can't physically see. This is what we would call a nature spirit or so, it's in the spirit world, but it's real, yeah. And so then I was like, okay, whales, snake, and then I came to Loch Ness. So I came to an ancient sea creature, which is a water horse. And this is also came in the code. I watched this movie. It was called, actually, Water Horse. And that was like also in Scotland, a lake, and it was a water horse. And then that's how I knew that it turned into when it was really, really big. Okay, so I'm looking at right now, as I turn to blow my nose, I'm facing a letterbox from somebody's house, and it's got a crown on it, like a king's crown, and the number 5. Yeah, so the number 5 is Phi V, which is Phi life, which is natural life, and I explain why V is life in the code. And so it's, the crown is the birth, is the rebirth, is the awakening to the soul. Yeah. And okay, so let's see. Water horse. So, and then this boy actually rides this, and it turns into Loch Ness, and this boy rides this ancient sea creature or water being. Yeah, and it's huge. So that's how I knew, okay, so Loch Ness is a water horse. Then there was this post by, I say it in the code, so I don't remember the name of her, but she brought me to that, the 14th sign of the zodiac, because the 13th sign is Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus is called the snake charmer. And the 14th sign of the zodiac is Cetus. That's where Seti comes from, and cetacean comes from. And she posted a picture from the constellations, yeah? And it's a water horse. It's painted I never understood this, but this is also what is coming into consciousness and understanding now as well, is the signs of the zodiac. What are these symbols? What do they mean? How do they come about? And so 14th sign, Cetus, is a water horse. So, okay, so now here's another puzzle piece. Now that we brought, that came up, here's the next puzzle piece, is that for many years I had the recurring dream of a humongous tsunami wave, similar to in the movie The Perfect Storm, if you can imagine, but even higher than that, even bigger than that. And so higher than the Golden Gate, like double the size, the height of the Golden Gate Bridge. And it was coming, it was imminent, it was like seconds to arrive, a minute to arrive, something, not even a minute, like that. And I was always in panic, running away from, and waking up with a beating heart. Yeah, always like that. Always running away from the wave. And then there was this moment where, one time, this in that recurring dream, when my consciousness spoke to me clearly and said, "Why are you running away from something that is futile to run away from? It will get you anyways. You will die anyways. So you might as well turn around and face it with, and just surrender. So face it so that your last seconds of life, so that you don't die in panic, that you die calmly. Just surrender and open to death." So, and then I woke up, and then I was like, wow, that's so cool that I was able to have that realization as I was in the dream. So it was already quite lucid. And I think the next time that I had the tsunami dream, I actually did it. I was able to do it. I turned around and just accepted, now I will die, and just completely opened up. And I closed my eyes and I saw the wave, and I just calmly was in surrender. And the next thing I knew was that I was underwater and everything was fine and calm. And I was like just there floating underwater. And I said, this is beautiful. I'm still alive. Nothing happened. And I don't even need to breathe. And then when I came out of the water, stuck my head out of the water, then came another wave that was not as high and not as huge, and it this wave, let's see, how high was it? It was maybe the height from from the ocean's surface to the bottom of the Golden Gate Bridge, maybe about that high. And it was right in front of me, well, not right, but very close, and the sun was shining, and this wave was thin, it wasn't like this, it wasn't like this. So this is like a thin wave, so the sun it was crystal clear, and the sun was shining through the wave. And the other thing was, it was a standing wave. So that means it didn't behave like a normal wave in the ocean. So it was alive and it was conscious, you could say. Similar to in the movie Abyss, when the water took this, it took all kinds of shapes and started communicating. That's how that wave was. And now I saw, and it was just becoming by the way, the dream was completely lucid. So now I see, and anyways, it was magical. Like, I had such a wonderful feeling. It was so that panic turned into an absolutely magical, which is magi, big I see all, magi see all experience. So I look at the wave, and then I see a dolphin swim through the wave. Not at the bottom, through the top, through the middle of this standing wave, a dolphin is there. I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And then came the water horse, this ancient sea creature. And this was before, I believe, this was short before I watched the movie Water Horse. So at that point, I didn't know it was a water horse. I just saw that it was an ancient sea creature that had been extinct, apparently, a long time ago. But that's what made it like really, really so magical. Yeah. Okay, so now we're bringing this all together. Loch Ness, exactly. So there's another piece to it. And this is all about, well, I don't even know, but it's coming together. It's definitely coming together, what it's about and what it's bringing forth. It has to do with interdimensionality. And, oh yes, okay. So Elsa, just recently I heard her say, she has horses, and she has also connection with whales. They live right near to the ocean, and they're out in their boat on the ocean a lot, and they see a lot of whales, and the whales they swim right under their boats, and so they have really strong whale medicine as well. And she said that horses and whales somehow like they come from the same ancestor or something like that. They're like, their DNA is connected. They're connected somehow. And when you just hear that, when I first heard that, it's like, how does that make sense? But then I remembered water horse, and I remembered all of this that I just shared. We're going to want to bring it back to the snake as well. The snake, I don't know what the connection is, but it seems like that there's snake DNA involved in the water horse as well. And then we have the 14th sign, Cetus, the water horse, and the 13th sign, Ophiuchus, the snake charmer. Okay, now the snake in ancient consciousness, let's say ancient wisdom, and also in ancient alchemy, the snake stands for transcendental consciousness. It stands for kundalini. It stands for dragon. This is why. See, I didn't know any of this before. It's just rolling as I'm talking about it. So it has to do with the solar dragons. They've been coming up, the solar dragons. These are apparently I don't understand all of this. I'm just getting the puzzle pieces and putting them together. But they are apparently like the biggest, highest consciousness, highest dimensional beings of our universe, something like that. They're 12-dimensional beings, yes. They're also called the luminary dragons. What I heard from Dan Winter is that a dragon is a combination of DNA from snake, dog, and bird. And this makes total sense. If you look at the dragons, like especially the Chinese dragons, then it makes total sense. Because I always thought, why do the Chinese dragons why do they look like dogs? They have dog heads. Solar dragons, the cosmic solar dragons. Now, this brings us to the dragon line. So these are 12-dimensional beings, right? This brings us to the lines, the ley lines, what are the dragon lines? I've heard this. This is ancient wisdom in lore. This is ancient lore that, and you can even see, because my friend, she took some pictures, and here in Germany, there are these sometimes on pathways, there are these stones, these like, I think they're called like milestones, and then there are these little chapels as well, and she photographed one, and it actually said Dragon Line, and it said Cairo. I mean, it's like, what, in Germany? And this is old? But not that old either. Like, what did they know that we totally have forgotten, you know? And I still didn't understand it, but now we come back to dragon lines and kundalini. And this also has to do with the Christ consciousness, because Christ consciousness is, in the Vedic tradition, it's called avatar consciousness. It's when, let me see, it begins 10, 11, 12. It's always a trinity of dimensions. The dimensions come in trinities, timelines come in trinities. So it begins at the 10th dimension, that our consciousness opens up into a greater collective. The monad is 7, 8, 9. The twin is 4, 5, and 6. That's the twin consciousness. The twin collective soul is like one soul, yeah? That has two bodies, two individual souls. And when they are incarnated, they're two bodies. And anyways, it's two bodies, even if they're not incarnated, just they're not in the 3D. But the two individual bodies, souls, that make up a twin soul. And that's as of 4, 5, and 6. The individual soul feeling alone and missing its twin, not even knowing that it has a twin, that feeling of being cut off, that's the 3D. That's the 3D experience. And as it rises, as we ascend through the dimensions, and our consciousness ascends, and then the body, that's what ascension is that the body follows, is Then when we get to the avatar consciousness, that's 10, 11, 12, and 12 is then the avatar. When the avatar is awake and knows itself, and that means your consciousness, you in your individual body, become an avatar when you are fully aware of yourself as all the others, which are, so it's 12. This is the principle of 12. This is the code 12. It's 12 twin souls to a monad. So, and the monad is as of 4, 5, 6. So the monad is 7, 8, 9. And there's 24 souls in a monad. But there's 12 twins, and the twins is always the polarity. There's 12 male, and 12 female. And this correlates to the chakras in our bodies. And when the snake spirit, the kundalini, when that rises through all the chakras, and when it reaches the crown, then we are crowned king and queen of our own land. We have dominion of our own body. We know who we are. We're awake to our true being. That is when we embody our soul, and that is when the two snakes, when they go through the heart is dog. It's the compassion. It's the compassion, is love. And so that's that dog energy when the snake and the dog merge. And then the bird comes in the bird brain. That's that's the third eye. The third eye, that's the bird's eye view. You have an overview, and then the crown is well, the heart is also the lion. When that kundalini energy has risen all the way as far as it can go in the body to the crown, it becomes the snake turns into a dragon, and then it is self-aware. It is self-aware, and it is free of bondage. It's free of bondage. That doesn't mean it still feels everything and experiences everything. But one thing it doesn't have anymore as a dragon is fear. It cannot hold fear frequency anymore in the body.